This ain't a review. This is, something a little different. You see, I made a poll right here on YouTube asking if y'all were down for a long-term series that went alongside my reviews, and to my utter astonishment, it wasn't just a yes, but a near-unanimous one. So I then followed up with a Modpack vote for what I'd start the series with, picking two packs that were pretty obviously wildly different, mostly to gauge interest in what y'all wanted, and, needless to say, I probably should have thought that through a little better. One commenter even pointed it out, saying this is the most hydrogen bomb versus coughing baby comparison that they've ever seen. Yes. Yes, it was. Welcome to Divine Journey 2, a mod pack that advertises itself as an expert pack but without the grind. However, despite this detail, it still has an average playtime of 500 hours to get it completed. To normal people, this would be deemed as too much and a monumental waste of time, but I am neither normal nor people. I'm a caveman with brain damage who's imbued with the power of gamer substance Ritalin. I wasn't just ready for this, I was born for this. So come along with me as we delve into the deepest caverns, make logistics systems so bad it gives all engineers ulcers, and become a menace to the ecosystem. Also, consider hitting that like and sub button. If we hit 100,000 subs, I'll play GrabTech New Horizons to completion. Or don't. Hey, you do you, I'm not your mom. Let's begin where all modded worlds start. A name. We need something to really sell this journey, to really tell the world what the series is all about. Yeah, that'll do it. Hit create world and it's off to the races. Now, to be clear, this is not a 100-day series, it's however many days transpire during each episode. However, I cannot lie that presenting the progress with each day at a time makes for a better narrative experience, so I'm gonna do that. Day 1, we spawn in the world right next to a village, but I'm going to just ignore that for right now and punch this tree real quick. Then I'm going to attempt to make a crafting. Okay, so maybe this mod pack needs a little elaboration. Expert packs are well known for complicating almost every recipe in a way to make progressing more challenging than it would be otherwise. They're made with the intention not just to be difficult, but to truly test your modded Minecraft knowledge or your ability to adapt. So as it stands right now, we cannot make a crafting table, but we can make a wooden and stone pick with our hands. So I do that and ransack the nearby village, which had iron pants, 3 diamonds, and some obsidian. Probably some of the most batshit insane items you can get this early, considering it doesn't take long to make your first crafting table, but hey, you don't see me complaining. I then make my way to a spot I find suitable for the classic bottom dweller tried and true, a hole in the hill. Since getting stuff off the ground is going to take way longer, we need shelter ASAP, so I get a nice hole and I get the crafting table put down. Blam! The pack actually starts. I mean, it's nighttime, but hey, better now than ever. I can't skip nighttime though, as making a bed is just not something I can do at this time, so let's actually read through this welcome book. You are a fallen angel that has one purpose in this world. Find the meaning of life. Are you sure you got the right guy? I always kind of figured I was more of an imp in nature, but go off, I guess. Fortunately, it's already in your inventory, but it's locked and requires a key that can only be gained by using every mod. Okie dokie, so basically put a hole in the ozone layer to gain a MacGuffin so I can remove the contents of someone's magical sack. Aye aye, Cap'n. Might as well start making my mind since I can't snooze past the nighttime. Also, since I have no bed, I should probably make a waypoint in case I get turned into a meat muppet, so, well, there we go. Classy! Nothing like digging around in a stinky hole. Anyways, after some setup with the mine we'll be visiting for most of this playthrough, I start day 2 by building a house because I still do not have the ability to make storage. So I opted to just start building what will probably be the ugliest house devised by man. Listen, I can build a better house, I just can't right now because my only inventory space is my inventory, so you're getting a crack shack and you're gonna like it. After building what we in the business call a temporary base, I had to run around for, of all things, yellow dandelions. You see, since I can't make a furnace without iron, we have to process iron by using hammers on iron ore and then turning dye and coal into a combustion source. Chuck iron bits in the mystery powder into water and we suddenly have iron. Don't know what in a dandelion that causes spontaneous combustion, but I also don't want to Google it because the last thing I need to be on is a federal watch list. After getting some more iron, we can finally make a chest. God, how I missed having an inventory. After that, though, I went back into the mines because we actually need compressed cobblestone to make a furnace. Once that was done, took the rocks, made some iron rods, and a coal block to make a furnace. Now we can smelt ores outright. Considering that this pack is supposed to take a while, being able to properly smelt stuff down this early is kind of surprising. Not sure if I should be proud or take this as some sort of warning sign. Anyways, back into my hole. Day 3 was pretty much entirely spent down there, grabbing ore to complete the resource quests and trying to get my stairwell down to diamond, albeit I got distracted by all the shiny mod rocks, so I went for those instead, even found some emeralds and amethyst. Good shit. It's worth noting this whole mod pack is in 1.12, so it's not the Caves and Cliffs amethyst, it's a modded one. By midway through day 4, I crawled out with tons of shiny metals to smelt, more importantly, iron and copper. I took time to make the Tinker's starting setup before the smeltery, which, by the way, if you want to know how chaotic the pattern recipe looks now, feast your eyes. Unless you left me open on a second monitor. That's right, I got you clocked. Anyways, after getting all that set up, the world was entering nighttime again, so I went on yet another mining trip. Day 5, I get the mine down to diamond level, and after wandering through a cave I found, I stumbled into my first non-village diamonds, which means I could finally complete the diamond quest for the first chapter. There was just one problem. I was not paying attention to where I was going. I'm kind of ashamed to admit this, but I spent most of day 5 like a lost kid in a Target. While being a caveman does mean I get the colossal willpower to stomach challenges such as this, it does come at the cost of lacking any semblance of navigational skills. Kinda hard to remember where you came from when your only remaining brain cell lost all memory upon contact with shiny rocks. I ran into several creatures too, a particularly notable one being the Gru, which ran towards me at Mock Jesus and attempted to FNAF scoop me. Fortunately, it's also as dumb as I am, and we both got stuck in cobwebs conveniently with me at arm's length. Just enough for me to defeat it without getting touched. Shortly after this fight, I abused Journey Map and found my way out. Came to the surface to find out I came up pretty much as day 5's nighttime rolled in, and since I wasn't really jonesing to get lost again at this time, I just nabbed some nearby underground gravel, got the quest rewards for sand and gravel, which gave me the last pieces to make this flint shovel, and sat out for day 5. Day 6, smeltery time. I'm going to need a lot of grout to get this Tinker Smeltery started. This is because all the Tinker Smeltery objects got tweaked to take more resources, including a substantial increase of seared brick. So I got some grout, ransacked the village I caught glimpse of, which mostly had wheat, beets, and potatoes, then I began smelting my grout into seared bricks. But you know, one furnace ain't quite enough here. They're a little expensive to make, so I settled for just a second one, then got a controller and drain made. It started to turn into spoopy nighttime though, so I locked myself in my hole for the rest of day 6 as I smelted what I needed. On day 7, I got the rest of the resources I needed, and the smeltery is now completed. I went and made some casts, starting with an ingot one first and collecting a pickaxe head one from a quest later. Now that we have the smeltery though, we can now make alloy tools, which are usually vastly superior to any vanilla tools, and usually the other modded ones available as well. I mean, usually, anyways, there's no telling what this mod pack does. Anyways, literally all of day 7 was getting the smeltery set up. You know, casting basins, casting tables, all the work. Now look at her. Smelteries are a lot like one of the few types of women I like. Resourceful, straightforward, built like a brick house, and will probably kill me if I do something stupid, in this instance, jumping right into its hot core. Jokes that will get me jumped to the pep rally aside, I then plunged to the depths of my mine for some lava, not only to fuel the smeltery, but also for the next major step. We need alumite, which is a stronger material than diamond for our tools, and is the next major main quest point. Alumite requires us to do tomfoolery with putting obsidian in our smeltery by dumping lava into its center with other metals, creating alumite alloy. But we can't quite do that yet, so I sat inside until the start of the next day. 8 hours of sleep and enough gamer subs to kill a 1300s peasant later, I returned to the game. I began to prep myself for the new tier of items by making an extra pattern chest for the casts, as for some reason casts and patterns can't share space, then proceeded to make several patterns for the items I knew I'd either want or need down the line. Making casts for swords, axes, shovels, and I intended on making a sharpening kit one, but completely forgot to do so. I'll cross that bridge later. I then also realized that my smeltery was probably going to need more girth for the alloying process, so I opted to make more seared stone, which took the rest of the day. Also ignore the fact 2 different stone shapes were used here. Her imperfections are what make her beautiful. Seeing as I can't make a bed yet, I also ogled the Megatorch recipe to see if there was any way I could stop myself from just sitting here during nighttime, but as it turns out, that is definitely not going to happen for quite a while. So, no to that too. Fair enough. Anywho, on to day 9. Alumite alloy time. Put in the obsidian, threw in some iron and aluminum, and swiftly found out that I was going to need far more obsidian than this for some proper gear. Well, back to playing in my hole. I ran into some more rat bastards on the way in, of course outmaneuvering them because I did not have the equipment to whoop ass right now, grabbed what I needed, then got lost again. Good thing I found my old hole I used to find my strip mine last time. Don't mind me as I just, don't look, I'm ashamed. Returning to the surface, I gained ample amounts of alumite and made my first alumite tool, conveniently right as night showed up. Since we only had 2 quests left, where one was getting obsidian, I went back down into the caves and found a spoopy cave clops. I panicked a little, but then decided, you know what, screw it, we ball. I started bobbing and weaving past this horrifying giant, gathering the obsidian across the cave's river, and then doing some sick moves back on the way out. With the obsidian yoinked, that means we are literally only a single step away from completing the first chapter, which means hopefully I can stop standing around for half of the Minecraft day in my house to avoid accidentally blowing up my hard work. Anyways, I pop out of the hole right at the start of day 10. Alrighty, let's get this knife, and the obsidian quest isn't done. As it turns out, I needed 128 obsidian. And that's because to make the knife that starts the next chapter, you need double compressed obsidian. So before I get that done, I made a mattock for not only chopping trees and getting dirt, but also because it has sizable damage. I also suppose I should talk about Tinker's contract a bit during this. If you think modern Tinkers is busted, you have no idea just how much stronger it was back in the day. Did you know that this mod originally doubled ores? Observe as I magically turn what was maybe only a block and a half of gold into almost 3. And all you need to automate this would be a hopper and a chest. Busted mod. Especially considering that one of the big parts of this mod pack that's supposed to change everything is the mechanism chapter when you get ore doubling. Of course, mechanism can do more than just double, but I'm still trying to make a point here that Tinker's is just flat broken. And I still love it. After violating all laws of equivalent exchange, I hopped back down to the mine, sealed off the segment that keeps making me confused, and then proceeded to grab as much obsidian as I needed. Thank God for vein mining. After ascending from the hole, I made the double compressed obsidian and finally made the knife, in turn completing our first chapter in this mod pack, and all it took was 10 in-game days. Very cool. Onwards to the next day. Day 11. After inspecting the quest book, I realized I was going to need an alarming amount of leather to get through this chapter, which means not only did I need to farm, I probably needed to give my base some proper TLC. So I did some basic terraforming, gathered some wood, got the farm started, nabbed some cactus since you need it for treated leather, and ran into a cyclops who I discovered more or less mined through business during the day, though this one was going to trample my crops, so I decided that its free trial and life expired. Proceeded to make a fence around the time nighttime swung around, in which I was attacked by dogs. After dealing with them, I locked myself inside. Once I get wheat, I can add some cows, who I will not only need for their aforementioned leather, but also for the buffalo leather. If I get that, I can make a bed, and nights will be a thing of the past. Until then, I shall twiddle my thumbs until the next day. Days 12 through 14 were pretty much spent entirely getting my base set up. I was still waiting on crops, so I started with trying to figure out Totemic's totems, which inevitably required me to wiki dive as I have zero idea on how all this works. After which I discovered these totems have some pretty dope effects, but only in a 5-block radius, so during the interim of waiting for more oak to finish the trim, I went ahead and spammed ocelot totems, which prevents creepers from exploding, followed by horse totems for increased movement speed. Then I turned my ship box into a slightly fancier one. Hey, beats having nothing. On the 14th day, I left my house to go find the cows I needed, and this was an entire day ordeal. I found a weird castle that had a lot of food and nothing else, then I found this underground dungeon which conveniently had the saplings I was missing to make sure my house didn't look like a travesty, then eventually located the cows as the sun came down, and since this is 1.12, I can't just use leads or something. I gotta do the classic slow move across multiple land masses. So I brought them over and politely nudged them into their containment crater. We now have cows, which brings us to day 15. After trying to make more cow, I started to work on a basement because I had an idea. At the end of the first chapter, I was given a statue to commemorate my progress in the pack, so I figured I'd make the basement a trophy room to hold all these awards so we can sort of see a direct physical shrine of our journey. So what better than a simple trophy room basement? I'm sure we'll line this thing with lavish medals in due time. But for now, one trophy will do. I pretty much spent the entire day just making more cow and making this basement, so we can move on to the next day. Day 16, a brand new real-life day, and starting off with making moves. First off, more cow. Second, prepare another pen for buffalo when I get them. Third, make a backpack because my feeble inventory size needed a boost, followed by draining out the copper I put into the smelter for ore doubling, and then into the mines I go as I wait for more cow. This chapter has a lot of waiting, it seems, so I may as well get some stuff while I'm waiting. This trip I found some diamonds among a hilarious amount of ore that I cannot be bothered to report back to you with. I also ran into 2 ashen skeletons who got into a fight after one missed me, so I watched them from above like I was an audience member to a cockfight. Then I dropped in and took out the victor and the green fella afterwards. Afterwards, I came back up, I dumped my ores, and walked inside pretty much as the day was coming to an end. A pretty productive day if I say so myself. Day 17, I made the drum. Turns out I need to. Hey, if there's anything this playthrough has proven, it's that I can't read. Though I bet it's a skill we can surely acquire in due time. Or not, I don't know, I have kind of a track record of not learning. For now though, we probably should make a chime, seeing as I'm kind of waiting on leather at this moment. I have discovered to make a chime we need to get redwood, which requires a separate ritual. Fortunately, I do happen to have enough silver to make a flute, the exact amount once dealt with in the smeltery. Dropped the silver in the smeltery, and while that was burning, I went to make shears, only to discover that the recipe was a little more complicated. Not horribly so though, still got it done. Got the silver, the singular leaf block, made the flute. Tried to do the rite of spring, and as it turns out, I have zero idea on how to time this rhythm thing inside of this whole mod, so I sat inside for the rest of the day using tutorials, only to find out it's not based on timing really at all, and more than patterns. I also wasn't holding shift to start the ceremony. Oops. After this lovely discovery that made my happy caveman smile into a frown, I did it right this time and not only had cows do their thing, but I also got redwood saplings. In order for a ritual to work, you need to be near a totem, which has an abysmal 5-block radius. Upon completion, everything happens within that radius. Fun! Yeah, anyways, I wrapped up my stuff right around the sunrise point, which brings us to day 18. I was feeling rather impatient, so I attempted to bone meal my redwood trees. After all, I've encountered many boners before, so surely I could bone meal. It literally took all of them. Oh, 1.12. Never change. Seeing as I've been unceremoniously put into the sapling growth DMV, I figured I might as well make my base a little better while I'm waiting. I expanded my farm to start growing things like industrial hemp, cotton, and canola. I made a diamond chest, in turn completing that side quest and allowing me to move all my metals out of that hole. Then once I did that, I was accosted by an ender friend. which made me almost shit my pants, but I opted to let him chill. His name is Phil. All Endermen are named Phil. It's the perfect name for someone who likes to enter homes uninvited. I also opted to finally put a roof over my head. So, there's that. By the way, it did not grow during any of that, so onwards to the next day. I went ahead and made the second drum I needed for the quest, and then just dropped my flute and picked it back up for the next one, and now my quests are only held up by the redwood tree, and they're still not grown, so I guess I'll just make some more seared stone and... Finally! Alright, let's prepare the wind chimes. Wind chimes are apparently passive instruments that do not require input during a ritual. Cool, let's do the buffalo ritual, and I need cows nearby. That's okay. Let's isolate a couple. Oh goody, the babies are the ones that chose to enter. Ugh. Whatever. I spent the day pretty much preparing for buffalo with my newly acquired chimes, constantly rethinking how to set this all up, then decided I no longer cared and just made it in whatever method would work. Can't do it yet though, the cows gotta be adults. On to the next day. I fed the cows so they were big and strong, then successfully turned them into buffalo. We did it, lads. We are this close to making a bed. But they also take like 20 minutes to grow up, and I'm fresh out of wheat, so off to do other things for right now. Here's the deal though. I noticed in the quest book that we had a boss fight ahead, and I am unsure as to what this entails, but I knew something for sure. I was definitely not ready for something like that. So most of the day was spent with a mining trip, where I found 4 diamonds right at the start of a new strip, and in fact I found quite a bit before I stumbled into the other section of the old cave I found earlier. Then I proceeded to fill my inventory with whatever else. I'd normally complain about the ore density at this point, but given the fact that I had to make double compressed cobblestone for a knife, I have a sneaking suspicion this is nothing. I then crawled out of the hole right at the start of nighttime. I stuffed my smeltery with everything I had, then lit up the surrounding area more. As Sun Tzu once said, the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting, so I'm doing the world a favor before I resort to my caveman instincts to bash anything that moves with a club. After running around and saying let there be light, I then wrapped up this day by trying to increase the scale of my smeltery, which overlapped into day 21, where I then finished that smeltery size increase, then tried to scheme up what armor would be best that I can get right now. I thought rupee and alumite would be the ones, but as it turns out, you actually need mithril from the thermal series, so that's not on the table at this moment. And all the stronger metals aren't really in reach yet for the weapons, so I settled for a rupee sword, then dove back into the mines for metals and more importantly, diamonds, as I've determined that this is probably the only real option I have at this time. We're gonna blast through the next day because not a lot happened due to this mining trip, so just bear with me. Day 22, got more buffalo, killed one of them, which gave us the materials to finally make a bed. Goodbye nighttime and good riddance. Anyways, gotta get diamonds for diamond armor, which took all day and halfway into day 23. But now I'm geared up and ready for the end of the chapter. Though I did sort of work ahead, so we probably should, complete the other quests first. I need to make a shaker, which requires a block of emerald, redstone, and lapis. Kinda wish I didn't get so overzealous with the fortune on my pickaxe now. Ah well, back into the mines. Got some lapis, some more diamonds, and came out at the end of day 23, but before the actual end, I made the shaker. On to what I think will be the worst part, eagles. Day 24. Eagles require parrots. Fortunately, parrots spawn in this biome. The Modpack actually bothered to make them far more common just for this quest, and let me just say, it's so nice seeing a Modpack actually acknowledge that some vanilla things might need to be addressed. Anyways, I went around easily getting parrots to be my friend, except for my attempt at getting a third parrot. This dude ate the entire damn valley, and after all of that, he's still like, nah, I'm good, I don't want to be your friend right now. Whatever, I'm sticking to the 2 birds I have, I guess. I gotta do some fishing before I do this eagle shit, but not now. It's nighttime and I gotta get my first snooze in this playthrough. And let me just say, it feels good to skip nighttime. Day 25, I expanded the eagle box a little bit just in case and then moved my instruments into the room. I then got a couple of fish to help with making more eagles. Everything was in order, so I started. Only to fail about 2 to 3 times before realizing that the flute upgrade quest probably isn't as optional as it looks. So I imbued the flute with the serenade of maple syrup, and now I can blow a flute better. Don't laugh. Anyways, I pulled off the ritual for getting eagles, but I'm not quite done yet, as I'm going to need to probably spend a fat minute to fish so I can speed up the process and hopefully make a proper eagle farm, as I'm not sure how many eagles I'm going to need in the future. Day 26, we fish. I'm going to be real, with all the massive moves made within this relatively short time span, it's nice to have an activity during a day where I'm just chilling. Also, I love fishing in any game. It's gambling without any inherent risk. Outside of a swordfish impaling you, but that's besides the point. Lets me think about life. Just kind of a vibe. Unrelated, I know I'm normally nonchalant about whether you like or sub or not, but on this video in particular, I'd heavily suggest you do it if you want more stuff like this. A simple free gesture not only helps this video get pushed around more, but it also lets me know that this is something you want to see, which helps me sort of plan my month out for content. Because in case you didn't know, outside of the fact that you all have to vote for mod packs, I do sort of plan what I'm uploading every month in a loose sense. Again, still up to you, I'm not going to push for it, I just wanted to elaborate because I don't think I ever have in the past. Also, comment down below any tips you have. I'm pretty receptive to advice from more seasoned players of certain mod packs or of any criticism to bolster the experience of these videos, especially if you know a mod for 1.12 that automatically counts days to make my editing job easier. easier. Just don't be a stooge about it. Anyways, on to the next day. Day 27, with my newly acquired seafood aisle in my inventory, let's go visit the eagles, who then ate the whole aisle and still won't be my friend. Okay, guess we're just gonna fish for the next few days. Day 28, fish. Day 29, fish. Day 30, can we stop now? Finally, damn. I've still got to make more eagles so I have a reliable source, but we finally have tamed eagles. Now, before we continue on with the quest, I got some preparations to do because, believe it or not, I did my homework during the fishing stuff. Outside of listening to gorillas, I also started looking into our upcoming boss fight and was informed that my armor wasn't going to matter. Apparently this fight is notoriously hard and it's recommended that you cheese the hell out of it, which fortunately doesn't take a whole lot. All you gotta do is make a murder pit. That's literally it. You make a 2-block deep hole with a radius, and then you make yourself a little peepee hole that they can't hit you through, but you can hit them through. It's that simple. It also said to use punji sticks, but honestly I don't think I even need that with the rupee sword, so today I'm going to set all that up before I go any further. Had to make a lot of fences, saw the dude use a tree as a way to hold the wind chimes and as a base for the totem, so I'm running with that, and the location I chose had a massive cave under it, so I filled that up as much as I could because, you know, I didn't want the game to think that Baycock should spawn in the cave instead of my pen. Got it pretty much all set up, gonna make some more wind chimes if I can to make this an easy ritual later. Day 31, after making a second baby eagle, I decided to commit an American federal crime to get the eagle bone whistle. Later realizing that not only did we need another eagle bone, but we also needed osmium. It's osmium. So, into the smelter it goes. One additional federal offense and a smeltery drain later, we are now the proud owner of a whistle, which leaves us with the one last step, which the quest actually informs you of the cheese. Guess I had no reason to do my homework. Oh well. It's turning nighttime though, and I don't think I have the instrument output right yet, but I can try at the start of the next day. Day 32. Yep, need way more instruments it seems. Wowie. I can see why someone in my Discord warned me of this mod. Alrighty, well I guess I'm spending today slaughtering the livestock and making more drums. I did the annoying tanned leather process, then put a bunch of copper I found in my fishing pond into the smelter, ending my day. Day 33. I realized I didn't have enough copper for a second extra drum, so I went spelunking into the cave of an alarming amount of metal and retrieved far more copper than I needed. I made 2 drums, tried the ritual again, and that didn't change much. I then realized the issue was that I was literally just outside of the range for my instruments to count. So with my newfound knowledge, I do the ritual again and successfully summon him. Get ready for the most intense fight of your life. I'm just kidding, this fight was like a breeze. And with that, we have successfully completed Chapter 2. Which is where I'll wrap up this video. So far, this journey has been an interesting one. We started with literally being unable to make a crafting table, living in a hole, to performing ancient rituals to summon a boss, slaying it in the most undignified way possible. I don't think I personally enjoyed using Totemic, especially when the eagles got involved and with all the weird instrumental jank, but it was something new, which was refreshing. Honestly, I've been having a lot of fun. I'm kind of excited to continue our adventure. That is, of course, if you want more of it. You know what you gotta do. This has been The Bottom Dweller. See you next time.